I clean it? If it goes on my face, what do I do? Everything's in there. Can this chemical be stored next to that chemical? It'll tell you, right? Sometimes they say no because they combust. Remember I talked about gases? Yeah. So all that's in there, right? But you don't need to know anything about it. You don't need. All you need to know is that paperwork, that document is in here, and you need to know where this lives, right? You need to know that, and you need to know the document, right? That the document lives in here, and this lives somewhere else, right? Or in an area. So when the auditors come through, and I love this because the auditors, the first thing they say is, hey, do you know where your SDS folder is? And you'll go, I don't know, right? And you have to know it. You have to know, because in an incident, you need to go to it. You need to refer to it, right? The fire brigade, they need to know where they are, right? Because they need to know what chemicals are in the area. What are they fighting? What's going to combust? All that stuff, right? So all this is really, really important. So you need to know where it is, and you need to know the document. Sometimes the auditors will be tricky, and they'll say, oh, what's an SDS? You know what it's for? And you'll go, I don't know, right? And about 90% of people say that, and you lose marks, right? So you need to know that an SDS is a document that tells me about a chemical that's being stored or used in there. That's it. That's all you need to know. No more. You don't need to know the composition. You don't need to know the temperature that I need to store in. Nothing, right? You just need to know. It's a document that tells me about a chemical that I'm using or storing in there. That's it. And you need to know where this lives, right? And that tells you everything, right? On the front of it, it'll give you the, see? Remember I told you about that symbol? It'll tell you the symbol, it'll tell you the name of the chemical, right? And this is most important as well. If you ever have an incident, or yourself or a colleague, and you need to go to the hospital, you take that with you, right? Because at the hospital they'll go, oh, what happened? Oh, a chemical went into my face and it's hurting. They'll go, oh, do you know which one? And you go, oh yeah, the red one. There's like 10 red ones. There's like 100 red ones, right? But if you give them this, you go, oh, that went into my face. They'll go, oh, okay. So they'll go to the back, they'll have a look at the composition, they'll go, oh, okay. And they'll find what to neutralize, to stop it, right? So make it neutral, stop it hurting and stuff, not making more damage, right? So you need to either take that or that. If you can take that, they'll go, oh yeah, default, we know. They'll look it up on the computer, they'll go, oh yeah, we know what to do, right? But if you take that, even better. Right? And if you lose it, and you forget about it, it's all right, but let us know because we need to replace it. All right? So that's the document there. You need to know, please. All right.
Just on this one, so we've got a few kitchens across the complex and at different levels as well. So each kitchen will have one of these summary on the wall. So you can have something to refer anytime when you work in the kitchen.
And if there's none around, I normally do my audits, I make sure where they are. But if you feel that you need to have one somewhere, let me know. I've got them in my car, and we can make copies of it, right? So we can update all the time. So if you feel, oh, I'm storing chemicals in this cupboard, I need a folder, yeah, tell, chef, whoever, or someone, and yeah, they'll contact me and we'll get it done. All right? Now, with chemicals, there's rules. There's rules on how to use chemicals, right? And there's two golden rules, right? There's many, but there's two very important rules, right? One of them is golden rule number 1: never mix chemicals. All right? If I mix that with that, I don't know what's going to happen, but you know what? Something will happen. You might not see it. It might not react like the movies. In the movies when you put them together and then bubble up and smoke and explosions, it might not happen, right? But something's happening. And I'll give you an example. I had a lovely lady at Westminster Hospital. She always complained to me that her floor cleaner didn't have a nice smell, right? So she used to clean the floors in the lobby, and it was beautiful, good results, but never a beautiful smell. So she took it upon herself, right? She made a hole in one bottle, made a hole in another bottle, put them together into a bucket, right? And mopped the floors with it. So she made her own little chemical reaction, right? Anyway, she didn't know that the reaction was that the chemical, the floors didn't dry for a long time, right? And the floors became extremely slippery, okay? So after 10, 15 minutes, she took her little, the little yellow signs, took it away, her colleague walked on the floor, on the lobby floor, slipped, broke her collarbone. Right? So you know the reaction, right? We had another incident at the Hilton, and they had to close it for about 4 or 5 hours. This is about 6-7 years ago, right? The pool cleaners were using a bucket that laundry normally use, right? And they had chemicals in there, really caustic, acidic chemicals and stuff like that. Anyway, they forgot to wash it, so there was a lot of residue of chemical in those buckets. The laundry came in, and they got their bucket back, right? They mixed other chemicals in there, and they made a concoction that created a gas, and that gas was a toxic gas, right? And they had to evacuate the whole Hilton Hotel in the city for about 4 or 5 hours, right? Until they got that gas away, all right? That gas, if you're exposed to it for about 15-20 minutes and you breathe it in, you'll die. It'll burn your lungs, right? It's called a mustard gas. They used to use it in the war, right? So that's what I mean. You don't know when you mix chemicals what will happen, and if you mix the wrong chemicals, you could create a massive surprise. Yeah, right? So most important, never mix chemicals because you don't know what's going to happen. Right? The other chemical is make sure that you put the right chemical in the right bottle. All right. Now this one here is your sanitizer. Okay. This is a food grade, so it's a food. It's safe for food. Right. So if I spray it on this bench here, right, and then I go off and it dries, and then I start putting food on it, whatever. Guess what? No one's going to die because it's food grade, right? Non-toxic, whatever. So if someone eats it, whatever's been on it, they won't be sick, right? If I put something like that on it and food touches it, remember before we said it's caustic? Guess what? You're going to eat that, and it's going to burn inside, all right? And this was what's happened. What happened a long time ago in Gosford. It was a hotel called the Iguana Hotel. It's closed now because they went out of business. But guess what? The chef there used to put grill cleaner, right, into a condiment bottle like that. No labels, no nothing. But he knew. He was the only person that used it. He knew. He was off sick for a couple of days, right? And a new chef came in. And guess what? It looks like a little bit like balsamic vinegar, doesn't it? Right? He got the condiment and goes, oh, balsamic vinegar. He put it on 8 salads, right? Served them out to the customers, and 8 of them were really sick. 2 of them had to go major surgery. They burnt their esophagus. They had to cut the esophagus from there to there, join it together, because that part was really bad. Jeez. Right? So that's what I mean. You can cause an incident. So make sure you put the right chemical in the right bottle. Make sure that it has labels, right? You can't write on the labels. You can't say, oh, Tony's chemical, kitchen chemical, Sam's chemical. You can't do that, right? It's got to be, see this here? This is perfect. You can read all the safety instructions. You can see the name of it, all that stuff, right? The right chemical, see how this is purple and this, right? But 90% of the time we marry the colors to the bottles, right? So you'll know that this one here. If the auditors come through and they see a blue chemical in this bottle, they'll go straight away, ooh, wrong chemical. And they'll deduct marks. Or if it happens often, they'll fine you. And they can fine you $100,000 to $300,000 per bottle, right? Massive fine. And the facility will go, no, we're not paying for that, right? We'll find out who did it. And that person is liable for $10,000 to $30,000. Okay? So please, make sure, it's not worth it. Make sure you put the right chemical in the right bottle. If you don't have the right bottles, ask someone. We'll get you some. I'll get you some, right? I'll share. Carlos, can I have a new bottle? Yeah, okay, fine. Right? All the time. So yeah, please, make sure. Okay, so there are 2 rules that you've got to remember. Never mix chemicals, and make sure you put the right chemical in the right bottle, all right? With safety, the #1 incident with chemicals, does anyone, do you want to guess what it is? So #1 incident or injury with chemicals? Eyes, yeah, right? Chemical in your eyes. So sometimes I could be spraying and then someone will go, oh, it's in my eyes, right? So, or you could be washing and it goes into your face, yeah. 70% of all injuries are in your eye, okay? So What would you do if chemical got into your eye? What would you do? What's your thought? Yeah, true. Yeah. There's a process. Do you know how long for?